Hello my friends, Dennis from Canoehound Adventures. Thanks for taking the time to join me today. On today's episode, we will be reviewing the Agawa Canyon Boreal 21-inch camp saw. Alright, so let's get right to it. Over the Christmas holidays, my wife played Santa Claus and she bought me this this wonderful new tool for bushcrafting, or for my bushcrafting adventures. It's something I've seen a lot of guys out there using, and it's always come very highly rated. So my wife went out, and for Christmas she picked me up one of these bad boys, and I just thought I would wait a little while, use it a while, and then do a review on it and give you my lowdown on what I think of this this saw. So as I mentioned, it's the Agawa Canyon 21-inch Boreal camp saw. It's a folding saw that basically folds into itself and leaves it so that you have no sharp edges, or your blade is very well protected, and it makes it very easy for packing, whether you're carrying it on the outside of your pack or the inside of your pack. As you know, and I've mentioned in a few of my past videos, I am a fan of shopping Canadian products. I live in Canada and I like to support local small business as much as possible, and this is the case with one of these things. This saw is actually made in Canada, as I mentioned, in Uxbridge, Ontario by Agawa Canyon, and it's one of them saws that you could take with you on any outdoor adventure, anywhere you need to cut wood, things of that sort, and it especially excels in backyard usage, whether you're cutting down trees or bushes, just processing wood for fires, bonfires, fireplace, or what have you. I'll give you some specs on this thing. The overall length of this is 21 inches from here to here. The actual blade length is approximately 17 inches of cutting space. The thing I like about this saw is it allows you to cut down thicker pieces of wood than a lot out there. The tree I'm sitting on, this oak I'm sitting on here, I just finished cutting down with it. I had no problem getting through. When I finally made it through, I took the saw apart and was able to release the blade and get the blade freed from the tree that was standing. You'll see a little clip of that either just past or in a minute here. So a little more of the specs. The spacing between here and here at the front of the saw, because you see it comes down at a bit of an angle, you're looking at about 4 inches, and then at the back you're looking at, I believe it's roughly around 6.5 inches. This gives you a lot of cutting space, a lot of room to go get through that wood. The saw itself is constructed of a high-grade aluminum, being all this part, and the actual snap-in handle that comes into the back is actually made of plastic, as well as the handle is like an injected ABS style plastic. And this particular saw comes with two different color of handles. There's a green handle, which is like sort of a khaki green, and then there's also the yellow. Personally, I chose the yellow because if it happens to be on the ground, I find that the yellow is going to be a lot more identifiable, and you're going to be able to pick it out, and you're not going to leave it behind when you're camping. The saw blade itself, as I mentioned, this one comes equipped with a sort of a general purpose saw blade, razor sharp. It's got a very aggressive tooth pattern on it. But from what I understand, you can actually get these here where they actually have dry wood blades, and also sort of like a butcher or a bone saw type of thing for those hunters that have to process wild game that they may catch, deer, moose, bear, whatever, and they actually have to cut through bones and meat. So it is very very good in that respect, that it has interchangeable blades. Now these saws are, in my opinion, very affordable for the tool that it actually is. I know a lot of people on there, some older videos of this here, say that they're available for like the $60 mark. Here in Canada, I've only been able to find these things as cheap as, like, the mid $70 and the $80 range. I know they're available at places like MEC, Specialized Outdoor Stores. They're also available on Amazon. If you check the link in the description below, you can actually get the link to this saw. At the time of this shooting, They're $79.50 with free shipping, but well worth every penny that you're going to spend on these. Another thing you want to note is the actual weight of this thing. It's a very light saw. Comes in at around 17 ounces, which would be about 480 grams. You know, you hardly know you're carrying it in your pack. I know there's lighter ones out there. Some folding saws may be much lighter. One of my other carries is a folding saw, which is a Fiskars brand saw, and that's something I still carry with me in complement to this. This saw will get most of the use, but I find my folding saw is much quicker and more easily accessible to be able to, you know, just pull off on trail and cut down a quick branch or two that might be in the way rather than assembling a whole saw. Mind you, this saw does go together and take apart so quickly. As I mentioned, it's all contained within itself. And that's it. Very easy to carry, very easy to set up. To set it up, basically you're opening the handle, you're removing the blade, and the snap part is already attached. That goes on there. Kaboom, you're done. The nice thing about this system is the way that Agawa Canyon has engineered this is it's always perfectly tensioned. There's not a lot of play or wiggle within the blade here itself. It's something that is going to carry a proper tension, which makes it easy to get a nice clean straight cut no matter whether you're cutting soft wood, hardwood, wet wood, dry wood. I have never tried it on bone, but I'm sure it's going to be the same result just based on the way that this is tensioned. And as you can see, when this thing's together, there's no rattling, no jiggle wiggle, it's a solid, very solid frame. Just a little close up on the frame. You can see it's all black anodized aluminum. There's no sharp edges whatsoever. You're not going to cut yourself on this thing except for on the blade, which, as I mentioned, is very sharp. Now, any saw that you have is going to cut well as long as you have a good blade. The saw itself, the frame itself, is actually just the mechanism to carry the blade, which actually does the cutting. But it really helps to have a blade or a handle and a frame system that's going to stand up and perform just as well as the blade's going to. If you hear crunching in the background, that's Molly. She found a bone that she left here from my Show Me Your Steak Challenge. If you want to check out that Show Me Your Steak Challenge, we'll have the link up here. I'll flash that across so that you can check it out after this video. But yeah, she found her bone. Okay, so now we're going to go over some of the pros and cons of this saw. And these are findings. As I mentioned, these are just how I feel and what I have found out about this saw. As I mentioned earlier, this thing sets up like a dream. It's set up and goes down in mere seconds. The ease of that, the Agawa Canyon really did their homework on the engineering to make this thing such a simple and easy tool to utilize. Oops, a little stick there, and there you go. Sets up in seconds. Another pro, as I mentioned, this blade is always under the perfect tension. Just the way it's designed and the way the mechanism actually goes together, this blade is always in the proper tension, and you don't have to worry about adjustments or taking the blade off and putting it back on to get it all set up. Lightweight, this thing is a dream to carry. You know, you hardly notice. At 17 ounces, it's a very light carry. Also, as I mentioned, no sharp edges. It's a great saw that you're not going to cut yourself except on these teeth. These babies bite. The other thing, the grip. The grip on this thing is so comfortable. I have big hands, and I have a finger that I injured a couple of years ago, had surgery on, and it's a finger I can't close, as you can see there. But when I grip this, it's very comfortable. Even with my messed up finger, I have nothing to worry about as far as gripping this thing. If you have to, when you're cutting, you actually have room in the handle, so you can actually get a two-handed cut on there. So you can utilize, and you're not fatiguing only one side, but you're actually able to utilize two hands on this, which is a good idea. Also, if you had to have somebody on the other end, they also have room to help you buck. So you got, mind you, The knuckles can get in the way over here for the partner. Just make sure it's your partner, not yourself. Yeah, so it comes, as I mentioned, with a very, very sharp blade, another pro. Blade changing on this is a very easy system to change the blades. You can see here up close, there's a couple of C-clips, and it's a stainless steel C-clip with a little pin that goes to the end of the actual blade. And same on the other end. So that makes it all very easy that if you are changing out your blades, whether you're putting on a new all-purpose blade or a bone blade or a dry wood blade, makes the changing process very easy. Like I say, this thing is very reasonably priced and very well engineered by Agawa Canyon. They really done their homework on this one. And I know there's a few others out there. I believe Gerber makes one. It's sort of similar to this, but it's only a 12-inch saw, so you have a very short cut path. This here thing is just a perfect size for utilizing in the woods. And as I mentioned, probably the biggest benefit is the way it actually folds into itself for storage, so that you're not going to be catching when you put it in your pack. You're not going to be worrying about the blade actually catching onto any materials or fabrics or ripping into your bag, or it can be carried on the outside. It's got a very thin, tall profile, and you know, it holds together, you know, so that's all good stuff. On to the cons. I would say the biggest con of this thing is the fact that there are no cons. This saw is, like I say, it's probably becoming quickly one of my favorite tools to utilize, along with my other folding saw that I carry all the time. I can't see me replacing this one. I would beg to differ that anybody might be able to come up with something that is actually a better design. So Agawa Canyon, 2 thumbs up from Canoehound here, that you have got an awesome product here, and thank you very much. And the best part, made in Canada. Oh, Canada, eh? So I'm going to throw you now a couple of tips about this saw, things that'll help you maintain this saw. First off, whenever I take it out into the bush and I use it and I get home, I like to care for my equipment. This saw blade is no different than any other saw blade. It can rust, and for that reason, what I do when I get home, in my little corner of the basement where I keep all my gear, I got a little bottle of olive oil. I just dampen up an olive oil cloth, and I just, you know, get some on the blade here. You don't want any rust forming on this blade. You want to keep it nice and sharp. That's going to give you peak performance on it. So yeah, a little bit of olive oil on there couldn't hurt, just to keep that blade from rusting up on you. There's nothing else on here that needs any lubrication or anything of that sort, because as I mentioned, stainless steel pins, heavy duty aluminum construction, and hardened plastic handle and snap mechanism. But you can see all the screws are actually stainless steel. And then there's one other tip. When you purchase this, Agawa Canyon, and they thought of this too, they know that if you're changing a blade, or if you happen to knock off one of these little C-clips, that you could be in trouble. So they actually include a package of clips within the packaging or the box. And you know, you could take this and you could put it in your kit, in your backpack or whatever. But here's a little tip for you. If you take a look what I've done, and this makes it so I can always carry it, I've actually taped it directly to the frame. And I taped it into a spot that's not going to be hit by the tree or the branches that you're cutting. But if you happen to lose one of these, and it could very, very easily happen, you have your backups with you. You can easily pick that off with your knife, and if you have it, and you've got 2 of them. So chances of you losing 2 are slim and none. So, well, it could happen. I shouldn't say that. But you do have your 2 backups. Tape them to your unit, and you'll always have them if you lose one. So in closing, I guess my final summary, I love my Agawa Canyon Boreal 21 saw, and that's it. This baby is going to be cutting a lot of wood with me once I get into my canoe trips in the summer, here at the day camp, when I do my boat camping trips. All things that I have planned for this summer, and I hope you'll be a part of it. So if you like this video, I would much appreciate it if you could subscribe, maybe share, and hit that like button. It really helps my channel grow. As you can see, I'm a new budding YouTuber, and I'm really hoping to take this channel somewhere, and as we go along together, we can grow. I can keep you entertained, Molly can keep you entertained, and maybe teach you something. The whole objective of this is to actually get you out from behind that computer screen or that TV that you're watching me on right now, and to get yourself out here into the outdoors. So you could really help me out by, as I mentioned, subscribing to my channel. Share this with some friends that you might know are interested in the Agawa Canyon or in the type of adventures I do. And please, please hit that like button if you enjoy it. So anyways, this is Dennis from Canoehound Adventures signing off. And remember, keep the adventures alive.